has here?
80s.
Upward down.
5%. You know, people are like, oh, they had to give more than that, 5%. Private foundations, what percent do you think gave of all that money?
10, 20.
About 12.6%. Individuals, people like you and me, are giving 82 to 83%. So don't overlook the neighborhood groups, your friends, your relatives, that is a tremendous resource for you. Okay? All right, now we're going to go on and talk about finding. Yes.
Sorry.
No.
Now these neighborhood giving, are they also tax deductible? And if so, how do you go about getting? For example, if I give say $200 and to any organization we want to build the school playground, for example, is that tax deductible to me? Okay. Do I have to have a receipt or I don't do that?
Well, you'll be dealing with a nonprofit, somebody that has a 501c3, so they will give you a receipt if you ask them for a receipt. Yes. Okay. Are there any other questions about that? I know I'm going pretty quickly over this. There's just so much to discuss.
And you're going to also talk about matching funds for corporations in this, or is it a topic?
That's kind of a different topic. I can briefly talk about it if you'd like. When we talked about the corporate giving, there are corporations, and in fact private foundations, that will give matching funds. You have to raise a certain amount of money and they will match whatever it is that you have already earned. And there are some foundations that's all they do. You know, they will say, we will match what you can come up with. So, and if you don't come up with that amount, then you do not get the funding from them. So. Okay, we're going to talk about finding funding partners. Your game plan is to match your organization with a funder. You need to know 6 different areas, and the more areas that you match, the better chance you have of being funded. First off, you need to know what your mission is. Why do I need funding? I can't begin to tell you how many times people come into the library and they have been told by their executive director to go in and do research. And you ask them what they're looking for money for, and the reply is, well, we do medical research. Well, that's all well and good, but it doesn't tell me what they specifically need the money for. Is it a capital campaign? Is it program money? Is it seed money? Is it an endowment? Why are you raising the money? So it's real important that you know what your mission is and what you're raising the money for. The second area that you need to match, geographic. The program that you are trying to raise money for, is it going to operate just in Dallas, or is it going to be throughout the state of Texas? Is it going to be national in scope? When you're using our directories, it will tell you specifically in those directories that a particular foundation will not fund outside the state of New York. So you can just automatically skip that particular foundation and go on. So just make sure you know the geographic focus. The third area, what population will I serve? Are you going to serve children or women? Are you going to serve ex-offenders? Are you serving minorities? Just be aware of that. The fourth area that you will match up is the type of funding needed. And this is where you determine whether it's program money that you need, or you're building or renovating a building and you need capital funds for that. The fifth area is deadlines. And this is important, as we said earlier, if you are looking for funding and you must have that funding by September. When you're going through the directories, it will tell you when the foundation is having their board meeting. If it's in October, it's not going to help you with that September funding. So just know what your deadline is for the funds. And how much funding do I need? If you need a relatively small amount of money, let's say you need $5,000 for a program, you are probably not going to go to a foundation that is giving hundreds of thousands of dollars, someone like the Meadows Foundation. Most foundations will let you apply one time a year, and you don't want to use that one time approaching the Meadows if you only need $5,000. Go to a smaller foundation and request money from them. On the other hand, if you need $100,000, you're not going to go to some of the smaller foundations because it will take you forever to raise all of that money. Okay? When you are coming up with your game plan, you also need to take a moment and describe as many terms as you can think of to describe your program. For example, you are helping the homeless. Your organization works with the homeless. And you come in and you can have the term homeless, and you will find different foundations that have given for homeless programs. But if you say, okay, homeless, hunger, food, shelter, food bank, you have a much better chance of finding different foundations that have funded those sorts of programs, and you've increased the area that you can request.
Sure.
Yes.
Question. Do you have any applications that have been successful that we can utilize for specific
Some
grant
proposals.
requests, so we can not reinvent the whole wheel, but meditate to our needs?
In some of our books downtown, and books on proposal writing, they do include proposals that have been funded, so you can get an idea. There are also some books down there, there's actually a little pamphlet down there, that shows you an example of a good proposal and one that is not so good. So you can take a look at those and say, okay, now I see what they're talking about. One thing when you're writing your proposal, we always suggest that you have somebody outside your field read it over, because a lot of us tend to use the jargon in our particular field. And you think, well, everybody understands that, but they don't. So
Especially
After the class, we always share documents and examples. I'll be glad to share a couple of letters of inquiry that you can use as a model, and a grant or two of different types. Maybe one for culture, one for education.
that's great.
Because somebody did this to me, Clarita Hinojosa of the Mexico Institute helped me, and we all really like to help each other.
That's wonderful.
Glad to do that.
I think that the first proposal that you write is usually the most difficult. First, you're gathering all the statistics, and that can be a little intimidating, but on the 6th floor, we have all sorts of statistics. It's government documents, and you know the government, they produce statistics like crazy, so we do have the statistics that will help you. And then we do have books about proposal writing, so you can look at those. We have books specifically on how to do a budget, because a lot of people get really upset with trying to do that budget. And I understand it's not the easiest, but once you get that first proposal written, the others will fall pretty easily for you. Okay. All right, the grant-seeking resources. We have more information about private foundation resources than any other source. Okay? I didn't bring all of them with me. The books are like that big. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of them. The first is the Foundation Directory, Part 1. And in your packets of information, you should have a